So Joe Biden has made it definitive that he will not answer the question on whether or not he would pack the courts until after the election. And he tries to explain it as he doesn't want to answer it because that will be what dominates the headline. Here, you don't believe me? Go ahead, take a listen to what Joe Biden has to say himself, and then let's analyze his response, because it really, in his non-answer, tells us what the answer really is.
In my opinion, of court packing when the election is over. Now look, I know it's a great question, and I don't blame you for asking it. But you know, the moment I answer that question, the headline in every one of your papers will be about that.
So, Joe Biden, he doesn't want to answer whether or not he would pack the Supreme Court because that's what would dominate the headlines. That's what the headlines would be. And he doesn't want that. Okay. So let's go ahead and analyze this for a moment. Now, the only reason a politician would be concerned about what the headlines would be, should he answer the question, is if he believes the headlines would be bad. Have you ever known a politician to want to avoid making good headlines? Have you ever noticed a politician avoid good press coverage? No, of course not. They're running for election. They want all the good headlines and all the good press coverage that they could possibly get. So the only reason, to avoid answering the question, if your concern is that that's what all the headlines would be, is if you believe the headlines would be bad. So what would a bad headline be for Joe Biden in answering this question? Well, a bad headline would be, of course he plans on packing the Supreme Court. And he knows the majority of the country does not support that. He knows that would drive up conservatives into going to the polls to stop the court packing attempts. So of course he doesn't want to answer the question, because he doesn't want to admit that, yes, he plans on packing the court. That's the only takeaway that you can get from all of this. Now, there's also the theory that he's trying to play both sides. By refusing to answer the question, he is somehow reassuring moderates, independents, that he would not pack the Supreme Court. And there's no reason to believe that he would. And then simultaneously play to the far left of going, well, I'm not saying I'm not going to. So if you vote for me, we could possibly pack the Supreme Court, and then we can ram through anything we want, no matter what. It doesn't matter what Congress does. It doesn't matter what the laws say. We will have the activist judges in place to rule the country from the Supreme Court in accordance with our ideology, and the Constitution be damned. Now, but, as we go through and we can analyze all the, strategies, of, Biden packing the Supreme Court and all that. But the very fact that his statement is that's what all the headlines would be, and he doesn't want those headlines. Only a politician who knows the headlines would be negative seeks to avoid the headline. No politician that believes the headlines would be positive in their favor, no politician would avoid that. So, in very short conclusion, when we go through and we analyze this, the only answer that we can take from this is that, yes, he plans on packing the Supreme Court. And of course, he believes that as president, you can pack the Supreme Court. That having 9 justices, well, there's no number of what the justices are in the Constitution. So they can appoint as many judges as they want to the Supreme Court. You don't believe me? Well, here's Biden talking about it.
President Roosevelt clearly had the right to send to the United States Senate and the United States Congress a proposal to pack the court. It was totally within his right to do that. He violated no law. He was legalistically absolutely correct, but it was a bonehead idea. It was a terrible, terrible mistake to make, and it put in question for an entire decade the independence of the most significant body, including the Congress, in my view, the most significant body in this country, the Supreme Court of the United States of America.
So there you have it. In Joe Biden's own words, he is stating from decades ago that yes, a president has the ability to nominate as many justices to the Supreme Court as they want. That court packing is completely constitutional and legal. But then he goes off, and yes, he does state, and I will give him credit for stating that that is a dumb idea. That is a bonehead idea, right? And he admits that. So if we take those statements and then fast forward it to today, where he says, I don't want to answer that question because that's what the headlines would all be. Well, if we were to go off with the assumption that no politician in an election year would seek to avoid positive headlines and positive media coverage, then the only answer can be that him answering what he truly intends to do would be negative, would be bad headlines, because you only seek to avoid bad headlines as a politician. So court packing is constitutional. The president can do it. It's a bad idea. And he doesn't want to answer the question because he doesn't want the headline. All of this, if you take all the public statements and his words exactly, there can only be one conclusion. As president, he plans to pack the courts, and he knows that the majority of the American public does not support that, does not want that. So he wants to pack the court, but he doesn't want us to know, because knowing would be bad for him.